I've been involved in antiquarian book selling for about 34 years or something like that. You just never know what you're going to bump into, and it's a great opportunity to see some really fascinating and unusual material that you're just not going to see elsewhere. Actually, this little item, this is just about 11 months ahead of the Battle of Agincourt. This is something you just don't see anywhere else. We don't talk about sources.
My name is Vic Zoshak. I'm president of the Antiquarian Booksellers Association of America, the ABAA. They are the host of this event. It's a trade association for about 450 booksellers throughout the country. You've got collectors, you've got institutional representatives, you've got booksellers in the ABAA who aren't exhibiting, you've got international booksellers, so it draws a wide audience.
I think about the quality of what it is. Is it important? Is something important or otherwise interesting? Is the particular copy of high quality? Is it going to satisfy a serious collector? Someone who's a connoisseur will appreciate it. Yes, it would have to be a reason for someone to care about it at all. Either it's a favorite work of literature or an important historical or scientific work, a beautifully made book. But it's also the history of the copy. Did the author give it to someone, or is the copy in appropriate, interesting condition? Is there something significant about its individual nature that would make a buyer want it rather than some other copy? Kind of interesting thing that I've been working on for a number of years is I now have all the remaining books from the Ira Gershwin library.
Collectors are trying to build up collections in their own areas, sometimes know the dealers, sometimes find dealers who are totally new to them, which is why these fairs are always so exciting.
The show is great. There is a very interesting mix of young and old people, and it's really exciting to see young people coming in and getting excited about ephemera.
My boss does a really good job of representing lots of different literary movements, lots of different artistic movements. We have a lot of artist books, artist monographs, literary first editions, personal letters, personal documents, that type of thing. I see the best of the best and like the most interesting, the most fascinating things.
My background was first in journalism and then next in public relations, and it actually became a natural progression to selling books. It's good to come to shows and connect with collectors and help put books in their hands and move them along into the new collections that they're going into.
Ephemera is a very broad category, and the idea is that it's material that has been discarded but used to be useful. In other words, ephemera is often used as a research instrument to study former times and social and cultural values. As a physicist, I'm very interested in the limits of physics to describe human affairs. I think both are important in assessing the meaning, which is what we're after when we read ephemera, is something about the meaning of those lives.
I mean, everything we do that we present is telling a different story. Where books tell stories in one way, when we're presenting a collection of ephemera or something about it, we're telling a new story. I do a lot of work with works by children, and this one certainly tells a story. She did about 125 different pages. She tells stories of everyday life and things that we still experience today.
I am here representing the Miniature Book Society, so I make miniature pop-up books. Special collections aren't only antique books, they're also contemporary book artist books. Just learning the engineering that I put into it took me almost 20 years.
So we have a whole case of information, books, manuscripts, diaries, photo albums about the national parks, some of which are very rare and hard to find, others are very common, and yet they each tell the nation's story through the national park units. I always wanted to be a National Park Service ranger. Personally, for me, it was a lifelong dream. So to put on the flat ranger hat and the gray and green uniform was a dream come true. Two of the best jobs ever, working as a ranger for the National Park Service and selling books. Back when you're in your early 30s, it seemed like it wasn't a problem at all to leave a federal job with good benefits and pay and dive into the world of books that is not really the highest paying of professions. But if you love what you're doing, the rest comes naturally.
I've always been a reader. In the 80s, I found Charles Dickens. I was in my 30s. His works resonated with me. I started collecting first editions. Next thing you knew, I had a large collection. Next thing you knew, I was buying and selling to support my book buying habit. And at the time I was in the Coast Guard. I'm an introvert, and I would often escape from work into a novel or what have you. One of our efforts right now is to bring the new generation in this wonderful world of books in printed matter.
This is the manuscript of Jean-Paul Sartre's What is Literature? I was doing research on John Steinbeck for my senior thesis, so I had to go find the primary source documents like this. And then to see his handwriting is messy. He spells things wrong. He didn't just, come up with the words, like he put a pen to the paper and he wrote it. And like there's something so magical about that. And that's when I was like, I want to do this for the rest of my life. Like somehow, some way, I can't not be around this. This is On Being Ill by Virginia Woolf, and she held it just like I'm holding it right now, and there's just something really amazing about that sense of tactile connection to her that you can't get that, obviously. She's someone in the past, and things like this are why I'm interested in this field. I want to make sure that this object and future iterations of objects like this, I want to make sure that they can be accessible to people.
The intrinsic value is you're preserving history. History doesn't have to be something that happened 1,000 years ago, 500 years ago. History is something that happened last year. I mean, obviously, we can't save all history, but we can try.